Okay, let's dive right into this. Imagine, just for a second, waking up tomorrow morning, opening your eyes, and realizing you are quite literally inside the mind of Vincent Van Gogh. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to explore the turbulent vision of one of history's absolute most iconic artists. But, we aren't going to look at his life from the outside like some boring textbook. No way. Our goal today is to experience the world exactly as he did. We're going to explore what it actually means to process reality not as it objectively looks, but as it profoundly, overwhelmingly feels.
You don't just see the world differently, you feel it louder than anyone else. I really want you to let that sink in. We are stepping into a psychological reality that is defined by sheer unadulterated sensory overload. Every single color, every sound, every passing breeze or shadow isn't just a background detail for you. It's a blaring, deafening symphony. The world is permanently turned up to maximum volume, and there's absolutely no mute button.
Section 1. Seeing the world differently. Inside the mind. Now, what's really interesting here is how we are stepping directly into that exact intersection of overwhelming beauty and utter chaos that fundamentally shaped his groundbreaking art.
Consider the world not simply as it looks, the objective visual reality, the hard facts of a landscape, a room, a chair, but rather the world as it feels, because for Van Gogh, that is absolutely everything. You are no longer just navigating a world of static objects. You're trapped in this visceral, emotional landscape where literally everything around you pulses with its own intense, inescapable energy. You don't just observe a wheat field, right? You experience its emotional weight physically pushing against you.
Section 2. The spiral of isolation, when thoughts refuse to settle. Because, as you can probably imagine, living with the mental and emotional volume turned up this incredibly high takes a rapid, really painful toll.
This is the stark, grounded reality of your new life. You are completely isolated, you're desperately broke, and you're entirely dependent on your brother Theo for your basic everyday survival. Imagine the crushing weight of that reality. The thoughts in your head under these conditions, they don't just come and go. They don't magically settle down when you go to sleep. They spiral. They spin completely out of control, feeding endlessly on that isolation and financial desperation, building this invisible cage of anxiety that you simply cannot escape.
And that anxiety translates into a tragic, agonizing social loop. Step 1. You try to be normal. You desperately try to fit into society. Step 2. You fail. Again, the social norms just don't click for you. Step 3. People misunderstand you. They look at you strangely and pull away from your intensity. Until finally, devastatingly, Step 4. You slowly stop understanding yourself. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the profound loss of your own identity. All because the mirror the world holds up to you is completely fractured and distorted. It is an exhausting, repetitive cycle.
Section 3. Feeling beauty intensely. The transcendent flip. So the crucial point is, I want to be super clear here. It wasn't just pain and anxiety in that mind. There was a flip side to this sensory overload that was absolutely, transcendently breathtaking.
Think about it. To an ordinary person passing by a vase, sunflowers are this flowers. Yellow petals, green stems, perfectly ordinary botanical objects. But to you, in this heightened state of sensory awareness, sunflowers are warmth and life. They aren't just plants, they are radiating physical energy. They are practically vibrating with intense heat and vitality. And this brilliantly illustrates how the chaos we just talked about transforms ordinary, everyday objects into profound, living experiences.
Section 4. The moving sky. The masterpiece climax. I want us to really slow down the pacing for a moment and put ourselves right into this expansive, awe-inspiring space.
Imagine it with me. You stand by the window of your room in the quiet dead of night. You look out into the darkness, and the sky begins to move. You're looking out at the night, but the external sky is beginning to perfectly match the internal, swirling chaos of your own mind. The stars aren't just twinkling little dots in the distance anymore. They are explosive, swirling vortexes of light and energy rolling across the heavens.
So, I have a question for you to consider. What becomes the Starry Night? We all know the painting, right? We've all seen the famous blues and yellows, the rolling, wave-like clouds. But from inside this perspective, from inside this incredibly loud, spiraling, beautiful mind, what does that famous painting actually represent?
It's what your mind refuses to quiet. And this brilliantly illustrates that the Starry Night is not just some lovely landscape painting of a village. It is an uncontrollable psychological release. It's the visual record of a mind that simply cannot stop spinning, translated directly into thick, vibrant paint on a canvas. You aren't painting the village you see. You are painting the deafening noise of what you feel.
Let's summarize exactly what we've learned here. The art of chaos, the direct translation of internal psychological overwhelm into visceral, beautiful external creations. Stepping into Vincent Van Gogh's shoes completely reframes how we must look at his art. It wasn't merely a stylistic choice or some cool new technique. It was the direct, absolutely necessary byproduct of living with overwhelming chaos and experiencing intense, unfiltered beauty. He literally had to get it out of his head and onto the canvas.
Which leaves us with a final provocative question. Does true genius require experiencing the world differently, even if that means feeling it too loudly? I mean, think about it. If Van Gogh hadn't been so isolated, if his thoughts had peacefully settled, if the world wasn't quite so deafeningly loud, would we have those vibrant sunflowers? Would we have that moving, swirling sky? It challenges our entire understanding of the line between madness and brilliant genius. Think about that deeply the next time you see one of his paintings. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you walk away seeing and feeling the world just a little bit differently today.